All right, we're live with Jason Preston. Jason Preston is he's running for the 3rd congressional seat, right?
That's right.
All right. And where are you coming from, Jason?
Where am I coming from?
Yeah. What city?
Meaning, I'm in Lehigh.
In Lehigh. So
Yeah.
where does the 3rd congressional seat cover the district?
So it covers pretty much, starts, if you want to think about Moab, kind of southern Utah, it's going to come all the way up to Price, and then comes down into Springville, and then up to I-15. And think about traveling I-15 north. Everything east is in this district, all the way up to I-80. And then everything all the way, it goes for east, all the way to Park City, Camas, all the way to Duchesne, all the way to the edge of the state. So all of pretty much eastern Utah, Utah County is in there, a lot of Salt Lake. So it's a pretty big district there.
That is that is a big district.
Very big.
Man,
That's a lot of gas mileage on the car.
Yeah. You might need to get a scooter or something just so you can afford it.
Yeah, we're going to do something different. We're going to take a convoy through it.
Yeah, yeah. Now we met you at the Convoy last weekend. At the I guess truckers supporting the Canadian truckers convoy.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there's going to be a convoy kicked off that's going to possibly head to Washington D.C.
Yeah,
here in
there
the
is.
States.
Yeah, they're trying to get that one nailed down, but we're going to be running one before that on the 18th.
Okay, where from and where to?
We're going to start here in Provo. We're going to head up to pick up a bunch of Patriots in Heber and Midway and up to Park City, drop down to Salt Lake Valley, and we're going to meet up a group out of another state that's pretty big. And then we're going to head down to through Price, and we're going to end the first day in Moab. And we're going to have a big takeover of Moab. We got a group, our group got a group coming from the north. We got a group from St. George is going to be meeting up there, and then a group from another state, all converging in and have a little takeover and big old freedom rally in Provo Friday night.
That is going to be one of the prettiest convoys you can be a part of.
It probably will, and then it will be the prettiest convoy.
Yeah,
and
driving down through.
A big group. We're gonna have a big group. We've got, like I said, a big group. I'll tell you, a big group coming out of Vegas, going to be meeting up with us, and then a big group coming out of Idaho. So we'll have. It's going to be a big group, and I'll tell you what we're gonna do that first night is. The public lands issue. I don't know how familiar you guys are with public lands.
A little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the federal government is allowed to have 10 square miles of a state, according to the Constitution.
Yeah.
You know how much land the federal government owns in the state of Utah?
In the state of Utah, the federal government owns, I think it's somewhere around 69% or something?
It's probably more.
Yeah, roughly about 70%.
Yeah.
So, what's interesting is anyone who's dared challenge the federal government, the BLM, Bureau of Land Management, not much better than the other BLM, has ended up either dead or had their life about ruined. Phil Lyman being a case in point.
Yep.
Fortunately, he was pardoned by Trump, but they about wiped him out financially. So, the federal government, here's the thing. This is the people. This is what the convoys are about. This is the people standing up to the federal government saying, you know what, you've gone too far. And our convoy is called an Appeal to Heaven. And it's interesting. You've got that "Don't Tread on Me" flag. The Appeal to Heaven flag. Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, we saw you had it there. I was pondering when we were, I don't know, 4 or 5 cars behind you in that convoy. To me, it resembled the Lebanese flag. When I was behind you in the convoy and you were driving, I was like, is that the Lebanese flag? And I wasn't aware that it was George Washington's battle colors.
That was his version 1, right?
Yeah, and it was flagged because what it represents is when you feel the government and the earthly governments are no longer responding to you. What they said is, and it comes from the Bible, is you send up an appeal to heaven. And I really feel like it's an appropriate flag for what's going on right now in this country is our representatives are not responding to us. We're fed up. We're frustrated. They're checked out. They think that they're above us and they're no longer there to serve us. So, that's why we're going to be flying that flag and have this is going to be the appeal to heaven convoy. And we're going to go down there and talk about, look, you guys have ruined, so many people's lives. I'd love to get Ammon Bundy down here for it too. Talk about what happened with the Bundys. I mean, that's the same issue, the federal lands issues. There's so many issues right now, whether it's the mandates, whether it's election integrity, whether it's the schools, where it's like we the people are not being heard, and we're a little pissed off, and we're not going to sit quietly and watch our country get ripped away from us and watch the Constitution get shredded by these, so-called politicians or representatives. So, that's what this is. It's the people banding together and making an appeal to heaven to, we want to be heard, and we know where our rights come from, and they do not come from the government. They come from God, and we are taking a stance here.
Yeah. And it feels like that our different branches of government have given up on their roles. The Congress and the Senate are no longer holding the executive to his boundaries or their boundaries. The Justice Department has ran amok. And I don't know. I've been paying attention to a couple of congressmen and congresswomen that have pointed out that in Congress, they're no longer forcing a recorded vote. They're letting just voice votes run, which means there's no record of how you voted in case it goes awry. And they're doing their best to record a vote. And, one of them is Thomas Massey, who I've been a fan of his from the word get. But it seems like when that's done, even the Republicans demonize him and push him out. And yeah. I think I don't care. I'm done with caring about parties. All I care about now is, can we get a coalition there to go in and say, we're the Congress and this is what we do as the Congress.
That's right.
Censure the president when the president tries appropriating money for whatever boondoggle crack pipe he's trying to give away that month. What could we call it? Biden's fall of civilization of the month club,
his March for Dimes.
Right.
When Congress should step in and stop that. They have the ability. They should step in and stop it, but they're wilting flowers.
Yeah, they've become far more concerned about making money, about climbing the power structure. I mean, you look at, I'm sure you've been following the insider trading, these guys. I mean, the fact that that's not illegal, especially when in a time when our economy is being, ravaged by the policies and the spending and by, shutting down our businesses. And yet we've got these politicians making, money hand over, fist on the stock market. Mm-hmm. These guys don't work for the people. You look at the bills that these guys are passing, and they work for the establishment. And it is high time we, the people, stand up and clean house. And the reality is, the only way we fix this is not with sending me to Congress or sending one. You've got to send an army of patriots in there who will go after these people and prosecute them, because what they are doing is they're waging war on this country from within.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And sadly, this is not a problem just in the state, in the country, in our nation. We got the same problem in our own backyard. We got a lot of corruption here in the state of Utah. And, the more and more people start paying attention, the more people realize that we got a lot of representatives. In fact, I would say the vast majority who are putting their opportunity to climb the career politician chain ahead of serving the people. So, we're done. I mean, enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, what's your background and when did you get interested in politics?
Well, my background, I've always loved history. I really enjoyed studying history in college. Loved, especially the Cold War. I was, took some, special classes on that. And I've always loved, psychology and philosophy, especially lately. I was always into freedom. In fact, I was into freedom in high school in the sense that I dropped out of high school. I was into freedom in the sense of don't try to control me, whether you're my parent or my teacher. Like, I value my autonomy. But I didn't. When I really got into freedom, the principles of liberty was back in 2005. I was running, an event called the Tour of Utah. It was a big cycling race here, and started reading some of Ezra Taft Benson's book. Actually, a book called "The Enemy Hath Done This," and that's when I started learning about the proper role of government. And once I started to understand the proper role of government, I became it really sunk in with me. I ended up, after I sold the Tour of Utah, I ended up helping Ron Paul. He was running for office in 2007. I actually helped him raise funds, did a fundraiser, brought him out to Utah, and got involved with his campaign a little bit there. But then I started a marketing business, left Utah, went to Florida, started, just kind of doing my own thing. But the last, I guess about 6.5, 7 years ago, I started working for a political watchdog organization. So the last 6.5 years, I've been doing nothing but talking to business owners about their frustrations with Congress, frustrations with, the regulatory agencies, frustrations with, the taxes and all these issues that have really been destroying this country from within. And, I started that when I was in Florida. And then in 2017, we came out to Utah. And, you can only have so many conversations with people with their frustrations about how they don't feel heard before you start to take it very personally and becomes part of who you are. And I've never wanted to be a politician. I have a colorful past, I got divorced, in 2014 and, made a lot of mistakes after that. And that's actually why I ended up taking the job, from being an entrepreneur to working for this political watchdog organization. But, 2020, particularly, after January 6th, 2021, seeing the people start to run back into their homes, the troops started to run away, so to say. They started to retreat. And I just became terrified because I realized what got us the last 8 years of victories was not Trump necessarily, but it was the Tea Party movement. It was when we, the people, started waking up and pushing back against Biden. And so after January 6th, when I saw the people get scared and say, we're going to stop posting on social media and we're going to sell all our guns and we're going to lay low. I was like, what are you guys doing? Like, we will lose if we don't stand up and fight right now. Like, you can't give up. And so I'm out talking to these business owners and trying to call them out to war and tell them they got to stand back up and fight and refocus them on fighting on the state. Say what we've got to do now is we've got to get control of our state. The federal government may be beyond saving, but we got to win our backyard. Mm-hmm. And I became very just passionate about that fight. And then in May, June, I just was up at a men's retreat and had this real strong feeling that I needed to run for office. And I was like, you know what? I'm not a politician. I know they're going to try to drag up all my mud and my dirt. But it's like, if we don't stand up and fight and we don't get this message to more people and empower more people to stand and fight, I know the end game, and I'm not willing to let that happen to my kids, because the end game is we've seen it in Nazi Germany. We saw it to the kulaks in Russia when they massacred 100 million people. So I was like, you know what? I understand this. The key to victory, it's not about politicians, it's the people. And the key is win your backyard. And so no one was really talking about that enough, or very few people were talking about it in general. So I was like, you know what? We're going to run. and we're going to use that platform to wake up the people and get the people to start fighting back. And I think this convoy is a perfect example of that. And not just convoy, but these moms that have been showing up at the state capitol who have been demanding accountability. Like, we're putting the fear of God in these representatives, and we're doing it because regular people are waking up and fighting. And, same thing with the convoy. So I believe the key to victory is we, the people, waking up and pushing back in a united, peaceful way. And so that's really what got me into running.
Sounds like it was like one of those come to Jesus moments that just clicked for you all of a sudden, huh?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was terrifying. But for me, this is one of those things I had to know was right, because I know the cost. I know the corruption and what's involved in this process well enough to know that the end cost, what it would be to meet myself and my family. So it was not something I wanted to do, but it's something that I needed to know was right, and at a deeply spiritual level, to go on and put everything on the line like this. And it was a come to Jesus moment in a very real way.
Well, I know when I saw you speaking on the stairs of the Capitol, you had your family behind you. And, half of the battle when you do something like this, like run for office, become a public figure, is you got to have the strength of your family behind you. And believe it, maybe it's just one of my little things when I look at politicians, but I try to observe the people around the politician and watch their reactions as that politician puts himself forward to the public. And I saw a pretty strong family unit. I saw a lot of support, and I think you're a blessed man for that. You had a really strong family that was there showing all their support for you. And, I just want to definitely let you know that that's your best weapon right there. Is if you got a good family behind you, you can really make this work. Because, who are we without the people who support us, to be honest?
Yeah. And it's kind of cool. I feel a very deep gratitude for what you just said is, 4 years ago, those daughters didn't respect their own father. And because of my life choices. And, so what's been cool is, that's the neat thing, like any of us who can live our lives down in the gutter, so to say, if we're willing to just put our lives in order and really be the best men we're capable of being, it's awesome what God is able to do with us. And not that I'm any incredible man by any stretch of the imagination, but the fact that, I've gone from a time where my own daughters didn't respect their father to a point where my girls not only love, but respect the man I've become. I mean, that means way more than running for office. So, and that's something that's within all of us, and it's within our control. And yeah, your family matters. And I'll tell you, that's one of the reasons I think most people always had a very leery eye of Trump because of his past. And, he was an actor to a degree, but, first off, I looked at his policies and he did all the right things there for 90% of the time. And there was a few things he did that were definitely, I wrote him and let him know I wasn't happy with. But one of the strong testimonies to me about him was look at his kids.
They were all around him.
Yeah, and not only the around, but the character they have, versus some of these other politicians and their kids, they're out,
Whoa. I don't think we need to go disparaging the
Hunter Biden,
greatest artist of our generation.
He's a Picasso. Huh?
He sells finger paintings high on crack for billions. Anyways. Yeah. Well, all right. You got a shady past. Have you ever held anyone in prison past their term so they could be slave labor for you?
Haven't done that one.
Oh, dang it. All right. Have you ever written a law that will imprison, 30% of certain inner city populations for minor crimes in comparison with other crimes committed outside of those geographical areas. You haven't? Okay. Sniff kids? Are you a kid sniffer?
That's the thing.
I'm having a hard time seeing your...
Yeah, that's the thing is, and this is a Utah challenge because we could have gone back to Florida and ran in Florida, and especially where we are very strong in the very, constitutional principles.
Would you run against that lady that wears the taco cowboy hat?
Jeez.
If you run against her, go back to Florida, please.
Well, the thing about Florida is Florida wants these firebrands. Florida, you'll do very well if you're very pro-Trump, very firebrand, like you lay down the law. This is what we stand for. You'll do well there. You come to Utah and you say, "Hey, I'm against illegal immigration. I believe in traditional marriage. I believe in constitutional principles." Everyone wants to. We need to be more middle of the road. We got to be liked by everybody, and that's what's hard about Utah. Is Utah likes the man that looks well, that on paper is crystal, like the Mitt Romneys. They love the Mitt Romneys. We could go through most of our federal representatives, and they all on paper look great. But then, like you said, what are they doing? They're destroying the country. You know what I mean? It's the whited sepulcher. That Christ talked about, the person on the outside that looks great, but they're rotten on the inside. In Utah, we love those guys. As long as they don't, at least we don't think they drink alcohol, and as long as we don't see them smoking and don't do anything in public, put them in office. But if they're destroying the Constitution, as long as they make us look good, we're okay.
Well,
that's what's sad. That's one of the challenges of Utah.
It's a rough thing, and I've got my own little, I don't know, I guess, thing that I'm proposing, fight that I'm proposing is I want people to start voting locally. I want to see it so that in 2024, the news comes out the next day all disheveled and ties all loose around their neck, trying to convince us they're regular people like us, whatever that Stetler guy is. And he says, only 30% of the registered voters voted for president, and only 35% of the registered voters voted for Senate, and only 40% of the registered voters voted for Congress. But over 60% voted for city council. Over 70% voted for, their mayor. And 60 whatever percent voted for governor. And that sends a message to DC that the 10th Amendment matters, that the people have spoken, and it's not overall numbers. It's just a percentage, one of them big lies. But it's one of those numbers where I think DC will say, okay, maybe the people don't want us interleading on their lives and writing these vast obstructionist laws, and the states can ruin their own people's lives and we don't have to get involved. And once we get past that, I think then we can start having our mayors and our state senators subdue the governors. But once there's something bigger that you got to fight against, the governors run roughshod.
Yeah, no, you're right. And General Flynn came out here a few months ago, and that was his message: win your backyard.
Yep.
And that is exactly it. We want government where the people who are making the laws, we can look them in the eye and say, what the freak do you think you're doing?
Yeah.
That is good government, and that's how this country is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a ground-up government where all the power is at the local level, and the least amount of power is at the top. And they flipped that around, and so now it's all the power is at the top, and there's nothing down below, and where we have any control. So you're spot on, dude. That's what we have to do.
Yeah, I think we got to vote out all incumbents, and I don't care the party. All incumbents. And I don't care if you're a Republican at heart and you've got a Republican incumbent sitting there in D.C. and all you got is a Democrat that's running against him. I'm afraid you got to vote him out. You've got to roll them over fast enough that they start thinking, wait a second, I'm expendable here.
I love it. Term limits. I mean, we can enforce term limits on our own.
Yeah, they don't need
And
a law
in fact,
for that.
we kind of did. If you look back at the Tea Party movement between Obama's second term, when he ran against Mitt, over the next 6 years, a lot of people don't realize we replaced 70% of the House and the Senate. That was the biggest house cleaning in the history of this country. We did that.
I think we're going to have
we do have power, and we need to use it.
I think we're going to have a huge one come 2024. I think it's going to be a bloodbath, and we're starting to see it. So let's go over some of the news that would be person running friendly. What do you think about all the states and the administration reversing their vaccine mandate talk?
Yeah, well, I think it's two things. First off, it's the power of the people standing up and pushing back. I think that's the first thing, is because we have been effective at pushing back. And I'll tell you, here in Utah, it's been pushed back, and that is not because of our state legislators.
Yeah,
that is because of the mama bears. That is because some of these groups, I think Utah Open for Business up in Summit County, got the legislation written. They got it. They came down and put massive pressure on the state legislators. They pushed it through. So one is it's the people. It's us. It's we the people pushing it and demanding it and rightfully just scaring these representatives, knowing to the fact that they realize if they don't do it, they're about to get kicked out of office. So I think that's one thing. Second, the way tyranny typically works is usually when you start to lose your grip, you release it for a second in order to come back and get a tighter grip. Mm-hmm. I think where we are right now is we are in the releasing of that grip. The federal and state governments are releasing it because they've lost control. Now they're going to come in soon for a tighter grip.
I think we're going to start seeing DOJ visiting regular people. I think we've seen it in other countries, in other liberal democracies.
Well, like at students or school boards or something like that?
No, like coming to your house and saying, we noticed you post this on Facebook, and we just wanted to come in and check in, kind of a welfare check from your local Fed. And we've got reports coming in that the Washington, D.C. police are investigating congressmen now. What is it? Gomer from Texas. He had some of them dressed up as construction workers in his offices, taking pictures of, different papers and things he had around his offices. And that right there,
well, that sounds kind of unnecessary with the NSA and everything. Doesn't it?
Yeah, but the NSA can't look at paper as easy. But that's the kickoff. I mean, I hear you talk about studying the USSR and what have you, but this reminds me of when I studied the revolution in China, because this is how China went.
Well, they had to get their students involved, right?
Check.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've done that.
Yeah, no, history repeats itself. Human nature doesn't change, so we're still always susceptible to the same things. And this is we are in dangerous territory. I think another threat that I think is alarming to me is what's going on right now with Russia and China. I think that it's. I think we're in grave danger there, much more than people realize. I think the media is downplaying it, but there is a very real threat that we could be engaged in war with Russia here very soon when they go into Ukraine. And when the Olympics are over, to think that China is not, I have a very strong suspicion that China is going to invade Taiwan after the Olympics.
It makes the most sense.
And when they invade Taiwan, we've got some decisions to make.
Well, that's the thing. I think we've got decisions to make on both sides. What are the decisions that we make? One, right now, we're both veterans. Okay.
Thank you for your service.
he did more than I did, but I would be extremely scared if I had to walk into combat with any of that command staff, especially the commander in chief.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
we can't.
Go ahead.
We can't afford it. Now, the one thing we probably can't afford, and this is a callous thing, but with our economy the way he's made it, is we could probably afford to have some young men lay down their lives in a foreign country, lessen the competition over here. But I hate to see that to be an answer. But we can't afford it. We can't afford to go to war. We've already lost our credibility on the world stage. Our actions after 9/11 ruined that. And there is a definite argument. If we don't go over and support Ukraine, we'll lose more, but is there anything to win there? Well, we hold Russia, Ukraine for a minute. Germany's going to flip over to Russia's side because Germany needs oil. Now, how does this pan out?
Well, actually, let me ask you a question, Jason. Let's say you're elected, right? And the vote comes through to preemptively nuke Russia while they're all gathered in one spot. Would that be a solution?
I don't think Congress even knows about those.
What, nukes? To
knows about
attack.
if there's an attack.
Well, no, I'm sorry.
A nuclear attack. Now,
let me clarify. Russia's gathered in one spot right now.
Now, Congress should know about if there's an invasion, if we're going to war.
Well, there's obviously going to be an invasion if there's
Congress gave that right up in the 60s.
But if Congress could vote to preemptively strike first, you win usually.
Okay.
If you strike first, all right, so let's say there's a proposal to strike first.
Okay.
Well, Russia's amassed in one spot. It would be a nice, easy, clean nuke.
Okay.
Would you go for something like that, Jason?
Can I give you my thoughts on Russia and China?
Yeah.
What's going on right now?
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're in the situation is a little different than that. I think what we have is a government, not just a president, but a government who has been actively working hand in hand with China, and with China at least,
Mm-hmm.
to weaken our military, to open our borders.
I saw that.
And to open the door and to basically, and not only what we've done recently. A constitutional republic and communism will always be at war with each other. They're two warring ideas. We defeated Russia by bankrupting them in the arms race.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, where was China?
Well,
China was a third world country.
Yeah, China was actually being opened up by Nixon, the same guy who took all of our public land, the same guy, by the way, who took away the value of our dollar. Well, the second guy. I don't want to say anything without giving FDR his props as well. But Nixon had to make a deal. So he made a deal. He nationalized all the unowned land, and that's been the leverage to make up for the gold.
Yeah. Well, you're exactly right. But one of the things that we did as a nation is we had politicians who sold us out.
Yep.
Sold out our manufacturing, our ability to produce, and gave that and basically enriched a third world country, and funded the Communist Party to a point now where they're ready to take us over.
Yeah.
We built that on your tax dollars. Okay. We built that.
And all of our corporations, Harley Davidson.
Oh, yeah. The Wall Street's been in bed with these guys. We have funded our enemy.
Yep.
Our military equipment. We want to go to war. When we go to war, our military equipment is made in China.
What is it?
We have funded them. We have funded China. We have built them to the point where they are ready to attack us. And now what are we doing? We're tearing our military apart. We're leaving almost $90 billion of our military equipment, which was not an accident, in Afghanistan for China and our enemies to use. We've been trying to pick a fight with Russia. We have people in our government who are waging war on us from within.
Mm-hmm. And we have
this is not America the strong. Now, what do we go do against our two enemies? No, this is America with traitors from within waging war on us, opening our borders, destroying our dollar, funding our enemies, picking a fight with the two biggest bullies in the street to destroy us. And here's my concern. We are ignorant if we do not think that that's coming to our shores.
There's, if you want a shock later on tonight, read the Venona Papers.
The what?
Venona Papers. That's kicks back to the 40s. They've been against us forever, for that long. Now, all right. China says, now I remember that Army commercial that came out with that young lady that talked about her moms. I felt bold and strong at that time, especially when I saw Russia's commercial right after. I felt good, but it makes me wonder if this isn't a worldwide issue, this feminization, because China is writing laws right now where they can't portray in their TV and in movies feminized men. So that makes me wonder, is China having that issue internally, and because they've got such a control over their populace that we just don't see it?
All right. I want to talk about that. Warrior societies of strong men are difficult to take down. The founding fathers, when this country was founded, that was a warrior society. They were warriors. They grew up as warriors. They grew up as with men who understood the power of grit, the power of work, the power of sacrifice, the power of war and fighting. They were warriors. Society, the Spartans, you go through history, societies that are free are composed of warrior men. Men. Societies that fall are composed of boys that are adult males.
Man, you're giving them some credit saying boys. But go on.
We have. You want to take over a country, you turn their boys to men. You have women raise the boys to grow up to be males that have one focus, and that's chasing women all day long. Okay, that when the crap hits the fan, instead of standing up and being a man, they go looking for mama to take care of them, and whether that means their own mother or means a woman or a hooker or prostitution or pornography. Okay, you want to destroy a society, you destroy men. And I will tell you that there is a reason. They have ravaged this country with divorce. That over the last couple of decades, they've destroyed the family, they've destroyed the man, and we have had a couple of generations where we've seen the decline of men, and the decline of men is directly correlated to the decline of a country, and also tied to the decline of the country's values. When you have a father in the home that's teaching kids values, that's keeping the family unit intact. You want to wage war on the country. Russia did it. You know your history. That's what Russia did. This is what communist Marxist ideologies do. You destroy the man. You replace the man with the state, and you create weak, feminized boys that will not be there to raise families, but instead depend on the state to be the all-powerful father and master. We're in very dangerous territory. We are and if we want to save this country, it starts with stepping up and getting men to step up and getting in their lives under control and becoming men like we used to have. And there's a reason our enemies are trying to create men in their cultures.
Yeah. Well, Russia, I don't think has to try. I think where they are succeeds. But China, it's weird. They're writing laws about anti-feminization of men, and they're trying to get out ahead of something, and that makes me wonder, do they have bigger problems at home? And could it be from that one-child policy?
Oh, you've seen that anime crap coming out, right? I mean,
that's from Japan. We know what Japan does. Over. But China had that one-child policy, which means there was a lot of young men that were left out of the dating market. So they no longer had to rise to compete. So they probably just checked into some 9-to-5 job, bought their, everything in China has a picture of a little cat or a bear on it or whatever, bought their little appliances with a fuzzy animal face, and the very few of them, rose to dominance. And I imagine those are the sons of the party officials, which, because let's face it, you can call it communism, but it's still an oligarchy as any other. And it just like over here, just like our leaders aren't sending their kids to public school. They'll go in and vote all day long on what your kid has to do at public school, but they ain't sending their kids to public school. Not for one day. Hell, the public school administrators aren't sending their kids to public school, and that should really tell you something.
Yeah.
So, that's, I think you're perfectly right. I guess my only question is then, when the Mad Max situation comes around, I mean, are you going to go for an old Chevelle or an old Mustang, or, what kind of road warrior car are you going to build?
Volkswagen Beetle.
Hey, that's
They go.
Yeah, they don't require water to cool.
So, Jason, what are you bringing to the table that your competition is not currently bringing to the table, and why should voters pay attention to that?
First of all, who's your competition? Who are you beating out?
John Curtis.
John Curtis. Okay.
What am I bringing to the table? I'm bringing to the table a return to the Constitution. Hold on 1 second there.
Yeah, you're good.
Did I lose you there?
For a second, but you're back.
Good. No, if we want to fix this country, we need to go back to the principles this country was founded upon. We need people who don't seek power, but seek to bring power down. The federal government's out of control. 95% of what it is doing is illegal. And the problem is we put people in office who swear an oath, where's the Constitution, to defend the Constitution, and they don't even understand the document they swear an oath to defend, so they become the people who trample the document.
Yeah.
That was one of the things when I was running for office, or before I was running for office, when I was working for that political watchdog organization, I sat in probably a dozen or more town hall meetings with different reps around the country. And I'd always ask them, they'd always get up there and they'd impress me with everything they'd say, all the right things, pro this, pro that. They knew just saying, it's like, got a winner. This guy sounds great. You talk about the Constitution. And then when it opened up for question, I'd always ask them a few questions just to find out if they actually understood the Constitution. And I will tell you, there's only one representative of anyone I ever talked to that could actually had any understanding of the Constitution. That was actually Mike Lee. So props to him.
Well, I hope so. It was his job.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is that's the problem. You put people in there who have silver tongues, who know how to say what we want to hear, who have these speeches memorized that they've analyzed and they've tested in your neighborhood, and they've tested what you want to hear, and so they know exactly what to say to make you to get your vote. Mm-hmm. And the problem is, these type of men, because what's their objectives? Their objective is to be a politician, to climb the power structure.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. What we're not doing is getting people outside of the system who actually are freedom fighters, who understand the Constitution, and plug them in to take the system down. It's what's interesting. You notice, and you guys probably see this. You go to you have the constitutionalists who understand the Constitution, and then you have politicians who understand administration, and they're the people, and the smooth talkers. They're very different groups. They're very different. Mm-hmm. It's time for the people who understand the principles of liberty to stand up and take over and these roles that because these politicians have destroyed us. So how am I different? I'm not a politician. I'm a constitutional conservative, and I'm a freedom fighter. I got one objective: take the power down from DC and do anything we can to save the Constitution before our kids end up in tyranny. And we are literally within a short span of years, I believe, before it's all over. The time for playing political games is over. It's time to stand up and fight, because we are at war and we are losing desperately.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we are. Again, I like the optimism. I like it that
You're going to need a fire in your belly to go to Congress. If we don't have the passion to actually just do the right thing for the people, you end up in that position where probably most of our representatives are at the current moment, which is, how do I win more cheese for my family and myself, you know?
Well, when you win and go to Congress, will you do me a favor and get down on the floor with the guys that are the guy and gal? There's really only two people that are standing up for forcing Congress to uphold at least its bylaws on voting. I think that's one of the things to do, so we can point at it. It'd sure be nice to be able to look at our congressmen and say, we know how you voted, because right now they're just doing voice votes.
Yeah.
So they're not recording any of the votes.
Yeah.
Which means they can, when they vote for an omnibus bill that, granted, I know everyone wanted and whatever else, but, you know, it's only another comma up on the board. Not a big deal. I mean, when you're suffering through hyperinflation, no one will notice. But anyways, they're just doing it by voice vote. And Massey drove there and forced them to come in and vote with a quorum when they were going to do that vote with two people. Two people for a $10 billion bill? Two people.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to have accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You have no accountability. This is why in Utah we've been having the success we're having lately, is because we're showing up at the Capitol in these commissioner meetings and these town hall meetings and school board meetings in droves, and we are demanding accountability. And when you have accountability, all of a sudden these people know that they can't operate in darkness anymore, and that's our job, is to shine a light on the darkness and expose it. Because when the light's shining on the darkness, the darkness disappears.
Yeah. That is very true. And I don't know. Man, I wish you the best. I like the fight you got and the idea of salvaging it. Sad to say that's the message we get from every politician. I'm going to go there and I'm going to save it, and I'm going to,
Yeah, you do get that message from all politicians, and that's not my message.
Yeah,
I want you to know what my message is. No politician's going to save you. I'm not going to save you. You want to win in this? You want to save this Constitution? Stand up and fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's you. It's us. It's we the people. It's us standing up and fighting and getting engaged, getting involved. No politician's going to save you, and that is my message. It's stand up and fight with me. Stand up and hold these people accountable. That's you're right. All these politicians have the same message, and it's wrong. Vote for me. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix it. Bullshit. You know what? The country's a mess, and it's because we the people have been checked out.
Mm-hmm.
Check in, get involved, stand up and fight. That's my message is absolutely nothing like politicians. I'm not a politician, and no politician will save you. Not even a president. I don't care who he is. You want freedom? Freedom requires personal responsibility. It requires people to stand up and get engaged. You guys are doing that. You guys are doing this with the podcast. That's the message to people. Why are we getting freedom back? Not because of politicians. It's because mama bears, and now we're going to start getting dads to wake up, are starting to stand, and eventually men. When men show up to this state, when men show up to these city buildings, I will tell you, freedom will start ringing really quick. It ain't not when some damn politician shows up, I'm your hero, I'm the savior. No, it's when we the people stand up and say, we are the rightful heirs. So, yeah, I do take note on what you said. No, most politicians, that's their answer.
Mm-hmm.
Send me. No, bullshit.
Yeah.
Send all of us.
I think you're right. I think you're right. And it makes you wonder, well, all right. I've got two more questions, and I don't know if Dave has any, but one of them is January 6th was not the crime of the century that CNN tries to tell me, but it was...
Or your own reps right in your backyard, including John Curtis, these guys who compare it to...
9/11? Pearl Harbor, yeah. It was a dumbass move. Entering that building was dumb. They shouldn't have entered, but I don't think that, there is an abundance of video out there that shows the security and law enforcement opening the doors for them. So that kind of throws a lot of stuff into question. But I think that they are, I think they're being persecuted right now. Right now, the DOJ is showing itself to be the perfect arm of tyranny for a moron that can't talk. But anyways, what is something that Congress can do to bring that persecution to an end?
You know what I would do?
What's that?
I would walk up those doors and I would handcuff myself to those doors. And I would say, I will not eat until we have justice here.
Yeah, and you know what?
You get a few guys and girls, a few men and women to stand up and do that, make that kind of sacrifice. We're gonna have justice pretty damn quick.
Well,
Don't
another
go rap on the door and and make a media stunt out of it.
Yeah. Well, something needs to be done, and can Congress write a bill that says, look, you've had him in jail long enough. These trials need to happen by next week, or you let everyone go.
No, this is not about writing a bill. This is illegal.
Well, can't Congress just say, hey, we're taking away GOD?
I'm telling you what you do. You stand up, you go handcuff yourself to that door, and you get your media out there, and you say, we will not eat or drink until we have justice.
Mm-hmm. But who does?
And you will, and after those guys start withering away, you will have the outrage of America, and you will have a convoy at your doorstep, and you will have the people demanding it. You don't go right.
But who does that? Who does that? I'm asking, what can a congressman do? You get into Congress, what can you do? Would you go chain yourself to the door? I mean,
absolutely. That's what I just said I'd do.
Oh, okay, so you would. Can I get you
exactly what I would do.
Can I get you to chain yourself to maybe the podium or the floor? Somewhere where at least you can stop other dog shit from happening around you?
There you go. I can get that too.
The
fact of the matter is, it's we don't know. We have forgotten the price of liberty.
Oh yeah.
We have gotten so comfortable. You look at the founding fathers, what they endured.
Oh yeah.
We have forgotten the cost of freedom, and until we remember what it means to sacrifice our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor, we are not going to get this country back.
Right.
Yeah.
You want this country back? We got to remember what the true cost of freedom is, and it's because we have gotten so soft as a nation. We don't want freedom.
Well, and it feels like there's a civil war coming anyway. So maybe that's something for politicians to remember, because it feels like it. There is no quarter being given from any side right now. And that's a scary time. And also, I mean, maybe it would behoove us all to, I don't know. I doubt Joe Biden tweets because I don't think you can remember the alphabet knee deep in dementia. But, somehow we could send him a documentary on the Battle of Athens or a definition of what a patriot is. Because a patriot is not someone who loves their country. A patriot is someone who overthrows a government. That's what a patriot is.
Successfully.
Well, yeah, it's true. I mean,
you don't go into the freaking government.
You're treasonous if you're not successful.
But Jason's right. I mean, our forefathers have sacrificed everything. I mean, when it comes to freedom, these people in our pasts have plowed the field, tilled the soil, chopped down the trees. All we have to do as people of today's generation is just freaking weed the garden. That's it. Yeah. And we're not even willing to do that.
I just wonder if we're not the soft men that brings on the hard times to lay the...
There's no question. When words hurt us, when we need safe spaces for words.
What about when we...
It's a society that is ready to be taken over. We're a society that is begging for a master.
About 8 years ago, I heard the word problematic, and I thought, it's done now. Problematic. What the hell is that? You know, that's the most useless word on earth, and yet it's said every day now.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, we've become very soft, and soft civilizations
Yep.
do not last.
We're making the hard times. We'll see what comes out of this, I suppose. That's what I'm saying. What kind of car are you going to build up? You know, I've got a Tacoma. That's a pretty good zombie apocalypse car. But the VW doesn't require liquid cooling.
What, you don't like my idea of preemptively nuking the enemy?
The enemy's here. Our enemy isn't in Europe. Our enemy isn't in China or Asia or Taiwan.
That is exactly right. Our enemy is in our backyard.
Our enemy is here in us.
And it is not only in Washington, D.C., it is in the state capital of Utah.
Yeah, it's in your state capital. It's at every university.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we'll see if they preemptively nuke us then. But I would love to hear more about like events that you're going to be holding soon.
Yeah.
Jason, tell us what's up.
Give us on the 18th. You're having this convoy caravan thing. Tell us about it. You know, lay it out. If people want to join in, where do they meet up at? What do they look for?
Well, go to our website, prestonforcongress.com. So Preston, prestonforcongress.com. We have events posted on there. We're going to have the information on the convoy up there. Also, my Instagram, UT Jason Preston. So just UT like Utah, Jason Preston.
Okay.
Facebook's ridiculous. They shadow ban everything, so I don't even try to do anything much on there. But my Instagram's pretty good exposure. But yeah, so the 18th. So we got a bunch of stuff coming up next week. We've got a big training meeting. Our goal is to create a movement, a We the People movement. It's the only way we make change. So we've got a big team meeting the 15th in in Lehigh. The 17th, we've got David Pine, who works for the Department of Homeland Security. He's doing an event to talk about the coming war with China and Russia, and the possibility, and the very strong possibility of an EMP attack and what that would look like.
Ooh.
So to me, that's a very important event for people to get to, because again, when the crap hits the fan, are we going to be ready for that? And especially as men, you know, we will need men in those times to take care of people.
Man, an EMP attack, what would that look like? I mean, talk about
going back into dark ages in a minute.
That'd just restart us right then and there. Then and there.
Yeah. So, and then the 18th, we're doing that convoy. You know, we're going to meet up, and we're going to stand up. We're going to be seen, and we're going to, stand with our brothers in Canada. Not just stand with our brothers in Canada, but it would send a message to our state and the federal government that we won't be silenced, that we're not, going to just go away and pretend that what's happened in this country is okay. That we have power, and that when we stand together, we're unstoppable. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's just next week, but we've got stuff going on every single week.
Nice. Okay, so, and these convoys are working. I mean, Alberta back down. It looks like old Fidel Blackface Castro. It looks like he's still in hiding somewhere in the U.S. But those convoys work, and I think they send a message. And man, truck drivers are showing how important they are. So for this convoy coming up on the 18th, where are you meeting? Like exactly where?
It's going to start in the River Woods in Provo.
Okay.
And then we're going to head up through Heber, pick up some Patriots in Heber, Midway, up to Park City, then drop down to I-215, and that's where we're going to meet with a big group coming out of Idaho. That should be a pretty strong group. And then we'll head down through Provo and then up into Price, drop down, and that's where we'll meet with our Nevada and Southern Utah team, and then we'll all converge on Moab around 3 o'clock. And the bells of freedom will ring very loudly. We're going to have a big old rally down there. We're going to talk about the corruption of our federal government taking over our lands, and that we want not only our country but our lands back. And then the next day we will let you know what the plans are soon. We're keeping
All right.
that.
Are we
next
gonna?
day.
Is it gonna be a camping down there? Do I need to bring a tent and a sleeping bag, my whiskey?
Well, you can camp there. You can have hotels. I think we'll probably have some where there's a good chance we'll have some people open up their homes down there, especially in one of the areas. Got some good patriots down there that are excited about it.
Well, we got some. Those are for the elderly people. We need to manage them. But I'm middle aged. I can live on the ground, drink whiskey, and
I'll bring you a cup.
I'm telling you, that is going to be the most beautiful ride in the U.S. that day.
Oh, it is. It's gonna be epic. And then the next day we will to be shared soon. We'll tell you where we're going the next day, but we don't want to let that out of the bag yet.
I was wondering what I was going to do on the 18th.
I plan on coming down to it. I definitely plan on.
It'll be epic. I can promise you that.
And for people who have have questions about where to find out information, Jason Preston or PrestonForCongress.com, right? Okay, and it's showing on the screen right now, and also it'll be in the show notes. We'll have a hyperlink in the show notes, so you can just click on it, boom, right there.
And Jason, feel free to post in our group like your events, because I let pretty much anyone hold 5 days of advertisement for free, and you're more than welcome to do so too.
If you're a pretty girl, you get 6 or 7.
All right, I'll have my wife post it.
There you go.
That's right. But we'll definitely be down there. I like it. I like the message too that we got to start standing up for our kids, because we can't expect Romney to. And not that I want to totally just demonize Romney. I'm sure he does something somewhere that's...
I'll do it for you. These guys are corrupt. I'm sorry. When our country is at the verge of being taken over and they're helping along the process along, these guys are enemies of the state.
Well,
it's not okay. There is no more, it's okay, what's going... No, these guys are destroying our country. They're being bought out by China. These guys are corrupt. These are modern day, men who think they're kings, and it's time to get them out.
Now, I've got one more question about the public lands. Public lands is something that tears me in 2 directions. I'm a hunter, and public lands allows me access to game. What can the state do to control that access when we
privatize them?
Yeah, when we take public lands back from the feds, it would probably revert over to the states, which then again concerns me, because these same corrupt SOBs will then hand the dole out to their friends and neighbors and buddies, just like, got to throw it out there again, George Washington did after the Revolutionary War. There's a reason that Shea rebelled, and it wasn't because Shea didn't believe in the new nation. It's because he was ripped off by Hamilton and Washington.
So, Jared, here's the reality. I would way rather have that fight in my backyard. What happens to that land, where the representatives who are voting on it, I see them in the grocery store, and I can look them eyeball to eyeball and say, what in the world do you think you're doing? You think you're going back? Not a chance. You're done. I'd way rather have that, where I can show up at where they're voting on it with 500 of my buddies and say, this is our land and this is what we want done with it, than have that be made in D.C. where they're holding that where that's being held back for China.
It's a good point. Well, it is being held in leverage. Honestly, our public lands are held in leverage when Nixon jumped us off the gold standard. When he took us off the national gold standard, boom, BLM grew the next day. Which is
So this is, it needs to come back to the state, local control.
Mm-hmm. And then we need to get it to the county.
Yeah, I'm down with that. But again, the first step is the federal. It is unconstitutional. It is illegal.
Mm-hmm.
They swear an oath. What is the supreme law of the land? It is the Constitution. They're going to chase you around for you to wear a seatbelt. They're going to lock you up over it. That's not even legal law. There's nothing illegal about that. They don't even have authority to pass that kind of laws, and yet we allow them to lock you up over not wearing a seatbelt. But now they're breaking the supreme law of the land. And
Yep.
who's holding them accountable?
Yep.
We got it all backwards.
And then we keep voting them in.
The only criminal around here is you and I.
We keep voting them in. They keep voting themselves a raise, and we just keep voting them in again.
It starts and it ends with us.
Yep.
The legal net is made to catch all the little fish. Seems like the big fish just get to swim right through.
That's every legal net
That's
ever made.
And that's what has to change.
Yeah. Well,
And that's whose responsibility is to do it. It's ours. The fact of the matter is, we've been asleep for 150 years. We the people, we've been checked out, making money and having a great time, enjoying our freedoms.
yeah. They encroached only a little bit, and they started the encroachment through indoctrination of the youth. And then when the youth became adults, they expected that encroachment.
That's right.
Yeah.
Boil the
Amen,
frog.
brother.
And it just keeps going. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that tonight. I'll find a good documentary on the Battle of Athens, and I'll tweet it out to the maybe to Saki. Maybe she can read it over for him. But do you think they read him a bedtime story? There's things I wonder sometimes. Think they'd sit down with him and give him warm milk and
Little red communist Riding Hood.
and he's got a little Raggedy Ann doll that has like a permanent nose sniff mark in the side of its head, and they read him, and maybe they could read him. This is the Battle of Athens. Now it's on quite a smaller level than what we're talking about today. It's on a minuscule level, on just a county, but it's the same principle. I don't know if you're familiar with the Battle of Athens.
I'm very familiar with
All
it,
right, good.
actually.
Good.
You guys are rock stars. Seriously.
Hey, Jason, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you on the 18th. Man,
Yep.
Yeah,
We'll see you
let's
there,
rock
brother.
and roll. And let's let freedom ring, man. We'll get our flags.
we'll get lost
let's be
again.
seen.
We'll eat Taco Bell.
Oh, you know what's cool? My daughter put on did a video. We put it on my Instagram page, but she did it on TikTok.
Uh-huh.
It was the Convoy, and it was to the Red Kingdom song, and she had 50,000 views on it. It was going crazy.
Wow.
People loved the idea of these convoys. It was going crazy. TikTok took it down because it was dangerous.
Yeah. Your daughter's a rebel. You need to tell her. I mean,
So TikTok's taking us down too, huh?
oh yeah. Has been from the
TikTok's
start.
owned by China.
Yeah,
TikTok's the reason why I won't do TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok's taking us down. This one I'm gonna try putting it on YouTube, but we might get canceled for it because, spicy talk. But
You guys are awesome.
It's
we
fine.
need more of you.
we got Rumble still. That place doesn't care.
I don't know if you can do your podcast remote, but you should do if you can do your podcast remote down in Moab.
Oh, you
Friday,
bet.
but that's kind of fun.
Even if we just pop on and just record live for a minute, we'll pop on with
Yeah.
you, chat with you, meet the people down there, drink the whiskey by a fire. God, Moab is such a beautiful place.
I'll bring a drone.
This time of year, it's a beautiful place. I mean,
It
Moab
is.
is impressive.
It's going to be epic.
Hell
Epic
yeah.
Days of Freedom.
Hell yeah. I love it. All right, everyone. Jason Preston, let's thank him for coming on. Go to PrestonForCongress.com and check him out. See if, another thing to remember, the conversation he had with us today may not be your cup of tea, but reach out to your congressman if you don't like what they're doing. And if they're responsive, that's your congressman. If they're not, then they're someone else's.
Well put.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank
you. Yeah, be safe, and we'll see you on the 18th.
All right,
forward
awesome. See you guys.
Yep.
Take care.
Take
Bye.
care.